All right, welcome to another live event today. We're testing out these lunch and learns, and so we've been getting some requests to talk about the buzzword of the year, which is AI and AI growth. So excited to get into it today. We're going to hit on basically 11 AI prompts and tools that'll help you grow. Right. So this is something at our agency GrowthHit we've been playing with, and so we thought it'd be fun to kind of pull the curtain back and kind of show what we've been tinkering with, what's working, what's not working, what's almost there. But hopefully this will be something that is helpful and useful to kind of inspire ways that you can use it. But again, thank you guys for tuning in. We're broadcasting this. Let's see, we're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, we're on X. And so thank you guys for joining in your busy day. So let's get into it. We'll go a little larger with the shared screen. Okay. So the big question is, how can AI help you, especially in like marketing and growth? How can it give you superpowers? So whenever we're looking at how AI can impact one of our companies, our own brand, or our agency, we have this checklist we go through. And what we're going to do is we'll kind of go through that. And I'm going to show you the prompts and the tools that have allowed us to work faster, work better, or do things that we weren't able to do before with a lean team. And so hopefully if you're listening to this, you're kind of in a situation like, I want to use AI. I am super busy. What can I do to maximize this so I'm not just sitting there watching videos? And one thing that I've found is I see a lot of people showing tools, which is fun. But at the end of the day, I'm like, what's the business problem this can solve? So we're going to start with the problem we want to solve and how AI is helping it. Okay. So we're going to start where I think a lot of us are familiar, which is Chat GPT and custom GPTs. We're going to then go down some other ways it can help you with growth, right? With text generation, image generation, video generation, analytics and reporting, website performance, and honestly, probably my favorite, it's your process and workflow. And as a bonus, we'll talk about some tools that we like. Okay, let's jump into it. All right. Let's start with the custom GPTs. So what problem are we trying to solve? For me, one of the big things I'm thinking through is how can I get more strategic firepower to drive the growth strategy? Because sometimes I just get so caught up in the weeds of execution. I need to pull back and think strategically. And I have found that ChatGPT has been a great thought partner in that. There's a book, The AI Driven Leader by Jeff Woods, that I really like. And so we've been inspired by what he's done and applied that to growth. So what's the solution, right? It's a custom GPT with everything a head of growth would need to scale a business. Okay, so let's talk about what this looks like when you're building a custom GPT. And we're going to do probably a second live webinar where we actually show the GPT we've been building for clients and for our own brand. But the first thing to call out, you're about to build this custom GPT. What does that even mean? So if you're in Chat GPT, you can go in here and in the knowledge base, you can start to upload documents. This could be up to 20 things. They can be Excel files, PDFs, to allow it to get a little bit smarter. So let's talk about what you should put in there for your company or your brand. So for us, we have a framework we use for growing companies, for identifying what's blocking growth, to coming up with positioning, to the website, to traffic, to tactics for channels. So we give it that entire knowledge base. That way it's on the same level as us with how to grow. The second thing that I do is starting with the customer. Whether you're using Yotpo or Google reviews, do an export of all of your customer reviews, import that as well. The good, the bad, all is helpful. Third, do you have a brand voice document? This could be a formal one or it could be informal. For some of our brands, we literally just go through and we copy and paste in a lot of stuff. Other people have a more formal one. This one's big. Your unit economics model. What does that mean? I want my GPT to understand my business model. If I'm selling a product, how much does it cost to make a t-shirt? What are our margins on it? How does it vary by bundle, by product offering? If it's a service, same thing. Another big one is customer buying history, and also product sales history. I want people to see the life cycle of a customer and how they purchase products and services. And I also want them to see what are flagship products that we offer. This is a big one. Our top performing ad copy and email copy. So it can build upon the insights from our ads, from our email to know what works and what doesn't. I'll also export the Shopify marketing dashboard, or maybe you're in HubSpot, wherever that is. And then finally, if you have a pitch deck, if you've had to pitch this to investors. So if you do this, it allows it to give insights on you as a growth leader, but also insights on the business. We've also seen some companies where we'll put in macro analysis. If they have big industry trend reports, that can be helpful. So for us, this has been huge. And like, how are we actioning this? Again, you can kind of see here, I use it as a data scientist to ask questions with some of my conversational prompts. Obviously for email and ad copy, it can be huge. Even for brainstorming new products and buying behavior. But we can get into that. But if you're building your custom GPT, guys, it is so simple if you haven't already done it. And it's a way to be thoughtful, to have another kind of really strategic partner in the room with you. Okay. Now, the next thing that we're trying to solve a problem for with our own company and with clients is it can be super time consuming to make copy that's actually good for email, for ads, for landing pages, for customer service. And I've seen people use ChatGPT in a way where the copy is good, but not great. You're still having to do a lot of the final mile work. How can you eliminate that? So for us, we were able to basically build our email calendar for the next 9 months in 10 minutes. And we were able to make basically 24 emails tailored to our brand voice. So how did we pull that off, right? So as I mentioned, what we put into the GPT, we started to make custom ones by vertical and service that we want to focus on. So for email, one of the big things we did is we needed to give guardrails. And when I say guardrails, it's like, okay, here's how many emails we want to send a month or a week. Of the emails, 50% can be promotional, pushing a product, 50% or more content, adding value. We then give it guardrails for word count, for subject line, for body copy. Are we cool with emojis? Are we not cool with emojis? And then again, training it on the brand voice, customer views, and our top emails. The other thing that we did is we uploaded the product catalog, and we uploaded a backlog of any non-promotional content, our top emails. And then we put in, this is where it got really interesting. We put in historic seasonality of the business to know, like, okay, when are people more likely to buy? When are they not? So we know how to meet them where they're at. But here was the big one, our product launch calendar. We're like, okay, we're launching 10 products over the next 6 months. Here are the launch dates. Factor that into the overall email calendar. And what you can see on the right here was an output of it. Literally put all of the emails, the ideal day to send, because we're like, we don't want to send on Fridays or Mondays. Gave us A/B subject lines to test, the right body copy, the call to action. And it was pretty magical going through that. But it took the time to start to kind of train it and give it the guardrails so the output would be what we want. Okay, let's go to the third one. We're getting a little harder now. We're getting to image generation. So this is one that I think a lot of people are trying to work through, where it's like, okay, how can this give me superpowers to do amazing ad copy and creative, right? So we had a client that had limited assets, limited time, and limited budget, where they couldn't do a photo shoot. They couldn't invest in influencers. So like, all right, let's see how we can use Midjourney to kind of elevate the ad creative. So we want to be very thoughtful here. So this is a company that makes, we'll call it custom cushions, right? And so with the prompt, it's not enough to be like, give me an aspirational photo of custom cushions. We wanted to take the persona of 3 in 1. One of a photographer, second is of an art director, and third is of a merchandiser for a website. So what does that mean? We're being very nuanced from a photography standpoint on like, hey, you're shooting this from a Canon EOS R5. Like, here's the lens size. Here's what we're thinking. From an art direction standpoint, we're talking about, medium shot, contemporary, cozy living room. And from a merchandising shot, talk about wanting to show the details of the embroidery and like the custom text visible on the cushion. And so here's what we came up with. These are actually really good. These actually work for ads, for the website. And this business model is really set up nicely to do this because it's a custom product. It's made to order, so they could look like anything. So for us, this is a business. We're like, wow, we can do a lot of work from image and video standpoint. On the flip side, we tried it with our brand Neat. Took those same personas of a photographer, an art director, and a merchandiser. And we knew this was going to be hard. And here's the output that we got. These are all AI generated models wearing our sweat-proof shirts, and they just didn't feel right. These feel a little too AI generated. The shirts don't 100% reflect our shirts. The stitching's just a little bit different. The fit is a little bit different. This one got the closest, but really we'd have to get in with Photoshop. So this one, we're just not quite there just yet, but we think it's going to get closer. There's other tools I'll mention at the end that we're playing with to pull this off. However, I want to show one other little hack that we found. With ads, we have found that Midjourney can be great when you're trying to really heighten a problem you solve or get a point across. So we have a company that's competing with CPAP machines, and they're in the sleep space. And so we use Midjourney to do a couple things. One, to make a generic photo of a person sleeping with a CPAP machine. So this is all made from Midjourney. Obviously, we had to put the copy and text on it using like a Figma or a Canva, but this was huge to get this image. This other one was super fun. We literally went to Midjourney. We're like, all right, have a pretty woman sleeping with Darth Vader. So it's like she's sleeping next to someone snoring like Darth Vader. And so this is where we're trying to play a little bit more with Midjourney, when we can heighten the problem or the solution, where it's a little bit more editorial than actual with product shots. So again, fun ways to get creative. And again, this took 5 seconds. Okay. Let's go to the fourth one, video generation. This one is big because we have so many clients that don't have user-generated content for Facebook or Instagram ads, for TikTok. It can be hard to get. It can be hard to get good stuff. And so how do we solve this problem? For us, we have clients where it's like, hey, we have a lot of testimonials. Could we convert those written testimonials into video testimonials? And so for us, we're like, how can we do this? And sorry, David just sent a question. Are you going to share the content? Yeah, I can. In the comments after this, I will put a link to all of these tools in this deck that I mentioned. And also, this will live live on our content website, and I'll put a link to that in the chat as well. Okay, so back to user-generated content. How can we pull this off? So we played with a few different tools. Some of them were better than others. Here's one we've settled on that we really like. It's arcades.ai. And so here's essentially how it works. You can get into the tool. You can decide your avatar. Is it a male? Is it a female? Younger? Older? You can understand their voice. Is it a British accent? Is it more professional? Is it more conversational? What's the look of the person? What's the backdrop? Are they in a car? Are they in a home? Are they in an office? And once we start to get a persona that aligns with what we're going for, then we can upload our testimonial and have this person read it. And some of these didn't really hit, but some of them were like, wow, that looks very well done. Also, how they emphasize different words, you need to work through that. But this one we were quite impressed with, and one that we've been playing with, and it's worked successfully with 2 clients. And we're looking to kind of see how we could potentially scale it. And again, there's some more fun ones, or not. There's some other ones that are probably just as good as this. But right now we're liking this tool. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful. This is a big topic people have been asking about, is like images and video generation. And I think we're just scratching the surface. But those are 2 hopefully quick ways that you could apply this to what you're doing. Okay, here's the one I'm probably the most excited about, where we hit a little bit of a roadblock, but I'll talk about what I like about it. It's analytics and reporting. So I don't know about you, but there's times you're like, I just want to get these insights. You're like, how do I get real-time insights on how are my ads doing? How is my email performing? What are my metrics on my website? If it's a WordPress website or a Shopify dashboard, essentially, I want a 24/7 data scientist agent that can fetch me real-time data and insights or historical. And so here's a tool we've been playing with and the good and the bad of it. So this is AdsVisor. They claim to give you real-time insights, and you can even make optimizations to all of these different tools, right? So Google Ads, Meta, Facebook, TikTok ads, anything in your CRM, anything within your core domain. And here's what we found. The tool does do a good job of integrating where you can sync your tools. Their first tier, I think you can sync 3 tech stacks. We tested it with like Google Analytics, Klaviyo, and Meta Ads. But what we found was, and I think we put our Shopify in there. It does a good job of fetching the data. However, it essentially fetches Excel reports. And then within those reports, you have to be really good at asking the right prompt. So there's 2 things you have to do. One is data hygiene. The report that you're asking it to export, be very comfortable with the nuance of what the fields are called in those exports. And then second, when you do the prompt, you have to know how to talk to it in that language of like how they label a file in Shopify versus Google Analytics. So what that meant was our data team had to be really good with data hygiene. And even sometimes as stuff would come in here, we'd change the tags or the labels on it. So I think it'll get there, but it took a little bit more of a technical lift than we wanted. But we're still playing with it, and it's one that I'm excited about. But again, it wasn't like a magic moment out of the box. And if you have other ones that you're playing with, I'd love to see it. We're testing a few different ones. I'll mention another one, but this is the one that's been pretty fun. Okay. Let's go to website performance. We've talked about, okay, let's do ads. Let's get research. One for us, we do a lot of conversion rate optimization. And what does that mean? We're getting lots of qualitative analysis. We're getting heat maps, scroll maps, session recordings. We're getting customer surveys. We get like inundated with data. So we're like, wow, what if we could use, AI as our co-pilot to go through all of this? So basically a CRO GPT. So we mentioned training it on being a head of growth, on being an ads person. What we've also done is started to train it on being like a UI UX expert. So what does that mean? So we have this kind of proprietary like CRO audit we do. It's like 177 points where we rank it. So we upload that into the GPT. So it's looking at it from a CRO expert standpoint, right? The second thing that we would do is we'd potentially put in screenshots or downloads of their top competitors. And then we upload our Hotjar heat map, scroll maps, exit intent polls, all this stuff here. And they're like, all right, score this based on our framework. Give us the recommendations on what you would do and what are the core blockers of conversion. And honestly, like it was probably 90% as good as us doing it manually, and it did it in 5 minutes. And normally that can take us a lot of time. So this one has been a huge unlock. And where it can be really magical is when you have Hotjar automatically sync to this. So it'll just pump out this report on a quarterly basis. And we're literally using it to guide our redesigns and our testing pipeline with CRO. So that one's been pretty fun. Again, there's a little bit of a manual component to it, and you want to have that initial framework of CRO, but that one's been fun. Okay. This is the last one. This might be one of the nerdier ones before we get to the tool. But the other thing that I found is for me, when I can get these tools talking to each other, not just with an API connection, but a final polish of a prompt to do that next step, it's magical. So for us, we are in a lot of meetings, right? We take lots of notes from these meetings, and then we have to action them. What if AI could not just take the notes, but then action them? So what if it could be like the chief of staff for your marketing team? So this is one simple setup we've done that I love. And you guys are probably doing something similar. So we do a Zoom meeting. We use Read AI. There's Phantom. There's lots of other great AI tools for meetings. We do really like Read AI. So within Reading AI, there's its own AI tool. It does a transcript. It can give recommendations. We then use Zapier Central and then connect it with ChatGPT to give it a prompt. Like, okay, after this call, basically let us know the current position of the company, their goals, their challenges, their opportunity from a growth perspective, and format it how it would be in a pitch deck, and then Slack it to us on our sales channel. So this is something that used to be very manual and tedious. We're re-watching calls. Now it automatically happens. We can go through, give it a quick QA, and it's ready to go. The other thing we're working on is integrating this with Google Slides. So it's automatically showing the result from it. And we've been able to do it. We just have to do it at scale. So again, this one for me is magic that we can then pass to the client to hopefully make them excited and impressed with what we're doing. Okay, so as a quick recap, how can AI impact your business as a marketer? Here's the way we're evaluating it. How can it be a strategic partner with your custom GPT? And are you giving it all of the context to be a thought partner with you? The next thing is where it can have the biggest impact from a text generation standpoint, image generation, video, reporting, website performance. And for different companies and different brands, this will be very different. Because I kind of mentioned, with this company, it's a huge impact with images and videos. But then with our own brand, our direct-to-consumer men's clothing brand, Neat, it's a little bit tougher on some of these images. But again, we can have fun with it in other ways. And so last thing I'll hit on are the tools. And sorry, I see David asked a really good question. Can you explain step-by-step the process to make this workflow? So at a high level, the process really starts with your custom GPT and everything you do to load it. And then from there, you can still use it to do text generation. For image and video, that's where we're using the combination of Midjourney, we're using Arcades, and with the analytics platform, we're using the Ads Visor tool. All of those are mentioned in here. But usually, and I'll get to kind of how we help companies do this, where we could do it for you or you could do it yourself. Before I get to that, let me hit on just some bonus tools that we're tinkering with and playing with. One is Typing Mind, your internal AI workspace, where you essentially can sync all of your tools and tech stacks together within Typing Mind, but then have it owned by just your company so you can share it with other people in your marketing team. This is one that I hope to be able to show you how we're using it pretty soon, but we're getting started with, which is fun. Okay, Opus Clip. I mentioned Arcades for user-generated content. This one has been actually fairly impressive for taking existing video you have and chop it up for different use cases. Could be an ad video, could be a TikTok video. And I'll tell you what, it gets you like 90% of the way there. And our designers like this one the best. They've tested probably 10 different ones. This is one, if you have to do photo shoots, you wear AI, where it's AI generated fashion models. I mentioned before that we were having issues with Midjourney with fashion brands. This is one we're playing with because you can actually get a little bit more specific and detailed with your product and actually upload your shirt or your product. So it's a little bit more true to the size, fit, and the material and the stitching. Okay, the last one that I'll hit on, a lot of businesses depend on Google Ads, on SEO to get traffic. But as we know, if you go to your search bar right now, the first result when you search is AI related. So how's that going to impact your business? In other words, when people go to Perplexity, Gemini, ChatGPT, and they type in a problem that you're the solution to, how can you be recommended within a ChatGPT? So Noato is a cool tool that helps you rank within AI search. So that way, if you're on ChatGPT, their data source is Reddit. How are you on Reddit? So whenever the AI is crawling Reddit, you come up as a result. There's a lot more to it, but it's one that we're kind of factoring in when we're doing SEO for ourselves or for clients, because I think this is only going to get bigger, this opportunity. And then the last thing, again, I kind of mentioned, some ways to use AI, ways to build your custom GPTs, and getting started with an AI agent. If it's not something you want to do yourself, if you need help with that, hit us up. Happy to have a call, even if we can't help point you in the right direction. But it's been pretty fun to see the impact this has had on some of our clients. But yeah, I'm just Jim at growthhit.com, and that's our website to check it out. But more to come on this. Would love to know, what problems are you trying to solve with AI? Could we get a head start on it to share what we're learning? Because for us, it's exciting to see some of the big wins that we're getting. So if you have other things you want to see or that you like, you can just email me at jim@growthhit, or put it in the comments. But again, thank you guys for coming out today. I'll put this recording in the deck and in the notes, so you can have it afterwards. But again, the next one's coming up in 2 weeks. We'll go deeper on AI and growth and some stuff we're doing there. So thank you guys, and have a good one.